Okay, I'm gonna select a phrase here from the piano under examples and insert. Let's hear that. Now I'm gonna double click it and that will open up this phrase in the phrase editor. Now right now we have the chord selected to 1 major, so what it's done, if I change this to a major 7th, we can see that note that was hiding under there. There we go. So what happens is that in a 7th chord, number 4 is the 7th of the chord. We've got the root, the 3rd, which is mapped to number 3 is mapped to the 5th, number 2 is the 3rd, and number 4 is mapped to the 7th of the chord. But if it's just a triad, what'll happen is it'll take the 7th of the chord or our mapping of number 4, and it will it'll map it to number 1. It'll just go up to the root. All right, so that's why you have this doubling. But if I go back to major 7th, then you can see we've got the 4, which is the B, and then the 1, which is the C, C4. Okay, now what I want to show you in this video is how we can use this palette function to basically audition our phrases. And this is just a terrific feature because we've got all these chords laid out here, and you have options over here. You can explore, and you can have more or less of them, and you can color them. There's different options for coloring them, and you can have you can control how many columns you want, so how many chords you're going to see, things like that. But in any event, so we've got this phrase here, which is, chord mapped. It's C, G. So right now it's a C major 7th chord. Okay, C, E, G, B. That's what we've got, and it's doubled up here with the E is up here at E4, and yeah. That's about it. We've doubled the octave. At C3 we've got C, and I'm sorry, C2 and C4s. So we're doubling up the root, and we're putting the 3rd, the E, up at the top here. But in any event, so there's our phrase. Now we can audition how this phrase will sound with any chord. All right, so I could hit B diminished, B minor 7th flat 5, B minor 7th sharp 5, any of these, G6, the adds, susses, and let's keep it simple. Let's just hit a triad, C major triad, C6, the C6, it sounds to me like it's mapped the 7th. We know that the way Rapid Composer matches the 6th is with an offset. We can see that. Let's see if we go to major 6. What's it done? Yeah, it maps the 4 to, instead of the B, which is the 7th, it maps that to the 6th. Okay? Because in a 6th chord, the 4th tone is the 6th, it's not the 7th, right? If we go up from the root, the 3rd, the 5th, and then the 6th, so it maps the 6th to number 4, or I should say 4 is mapped to the 6th. So essentially, you can preview your phrase in all these different chords and see how it'll sound. Okay? All right, let me close this window, and we can essentially do the same thing by changing the chords up here, right? So I could choose like a minor major 7th, and it's going to remap the notes here, and I can okay, or I could just hit major again. So this function with the painter's palette and this function here really end up doing the same thing. They just allow you to preview how the phrase is going to sound when you have it applied to different chords apply to it. Now the same thing holds true of the key signature, because if we change this to minor, right? Let's do natural minor. Okay, it's going to change the 3rd of the chord to well, actually no. We've got to change this to minor. So if we change this to minor, and C major is not diatonic to C minor, but this will control the chord. So we'd have to change this to minor, and then the E would change to E flat, or yeah. Okay. There's our E flat up there, number 2 at the top. But an easier way to see this, let's change this back to major. But if I change this to D, okay, then it's going to change this to D, F, A, okay, because the number 1 chord in D is D, F sharp, A, okay. Now if I select something more exotic, like let's say pentatonic, major pentatonic, see what happens. Well, actually nothing's going to happen because all those notes are in the pentatonic scale, I think. But what about Phrygian? Let's see. Yeah. Let's do C Phrygian. That doesn't change anything. What about Locrian, C Locrian? Nothing's going to change because our chord here hasn't changed. Okay, but if we change the key signature like to F, then it's going to change. Okay, so the takeaway here is pretty simple, and that is that when you change things up here, you're not changing the phrase at all. You're not changing, and you're not changing the mapping, right? The mapping is done by moving these notes around and using this window here. We can map the notes to where we want. But these options up here essentially allow you to hear how the phrase is going to be played depending on the key signature in the master track and the chords in the master track. If the phrase is chord note relative. Okay, now if it's scale note relative and we're in the master track, it doesn't matter what chord is mapped to the particular measure. Okay, we understand that. But you know, that's more the exception than the rule, because a lot of our phrases, or probably most of our phrases, are going to be chord note relative mapped. Okay? So again, the takeaway is that these functions here allow you to preview how the phrase is going to sound with the given mapping that you've created here. Okay? All right, very good. See you in the next video.